Welcome to another episode of Mediocre Dads. I am your host, Quan Wilcox. I go by Q. If you are a returning viewer, thank you for viewing or taking the time to watch my show, Mediocre Dads, and continuing to come back to watch it. So I appreciate that. Continue, please. We're going to put out more content. Just bear with me, please. And please continue, like and subscribe, of course. And then, of course, if you are a new viewer, thank you for joining us. Thank you for clicking on this video, and then in watching. I hope you watch other videos and more videos in the future as well. But thank you for joining us. I am, like I said, Q, the host of Mediocre Dads, and to kind of give you kind of insight into what Mediocre Dads is, it's a show for dads, for fathers, new fathers, or even experienced fathers who have some who have some notches on their belt, if you will, for years of being a father. I am more or less a newer father. I guess I'd be considered a newer father. I've only been a father for 6 years now. So me still considered a new father, but I have two children. And so that's kind of what the gist is, right? I want to share my experiences and some of the knowledge that I've gained from being a father over the last 6 years, but also from some of the knowledge that my father gave me. And you can go look at previous episodes. I've said it several times, and most people who know me personally know this, that I was adopted. And so there is that impact in my life and why fatherhood is so important. And it's why I do what I do when I make these videos. But anyway, I won't bore you too much with that. Please, thank you. Appreciate everything that you guys do by just simply liking and subscribing, or even sharing these videos, and because it means the world to me. But that being said, let's get into today's episode. And on today's episode of Mediocre Dads, I'm going to be talking about like a controversial topic. And the reason I would say it's controversial is because there's a lot of stigmatisms that go behind it and negativity that goes behind it for one side versus the other. Because for whatever we like to say, I'm on this side or I'm on this side. So when a man talks about this, it's almost like he doesn't know what he's talking about. How dare he even broach this topic or say the things that he's considered saying? When a woman says it, it's accepted. And this is not to, again, attack women, because I'm clearly a man saying these things, but this is not to attack women. This is just to kind of explain to you the differences of opinions. And so even though there's a difference of opinions or differences of opinions, I want to bring this up specifically for fathers. Mothers are more than welcome to watch this as well, of course, but I mainly want to bring this up for fathers to kind of give you some of the statistics and then give you my insight into how I think that we can start changing those numbers. And I'm not going to be. This is not some of the things I explain. They're not personal stories for me. They're stories that I've gained over the years of being in the military, from soldiers that I've had, and then even from some of my family, some experiences they had. So to kick it off, let's talk about the elephant in the room, I guess, is the fact that divorce is a high rate in America, and that creates these single family households, and single family households are scary for the child, and they're scary for the child because now it's almost like they have to choose, right? They have to choose between their mother, they have to choose between their father, and then this creates this weird dichotomy, because now the mother or the father are both feeling some type of way, and they might even use certain words, certain verbiage around their child or their children to then attack their ex. And this to me is terrible. I don't think anybody should be doing this, but unfortunately, it happens, and it happens predominantly to men, right? Statistics will show you that most of the time, when it comes to a separation within the family between parents, the mom wins the custody, receives custody, and in some cases, this is deserving, right? The mother definitely was present and more available, and and earned, if you will, that the custody of the children. But then there are a lot of cases out there where the fathers didn't have a chance. And in certain states, you can look at the census and the stats to see that um, fathers are not have no chance of receiving the custody over the mother, because the mother is automatically assumed to be the better nurturer, the better caretaker for that child. And this is very disparaging to fathers. It could be because, like I mentioned, family. I have family who's currently going through something like this, not in New York, but in Texas, and it's a it's a hurt thing, to go through. It's hard to go through because you, you show so much love to them and you want to support them in any way you can, but they're going through this time where it's difficult for them to see their kid, and they are doing everything they can to support their child, even though that relationship with their mother is no longer um, present. And so you're fighting an uphill battle of being present, but also setting boundaries, setting guidelines for kind of like how that relationship is going to continue. And it's again with this particular family member, so much, right? And thoughts racing through his head as he's sitting there thinking like, what can he do to be more present and more available? Because he doesn't want his kids to grow up thinking that dad doesn't care about me. And I even have a friend who told me a story about how his his this his brother his brother basically had two kids with his ex, a son and a daughter. And when trying to see both kids, the mother would only allow him to see the son, or take the son to go, weekends, weeks, whatever the case might be, summer. But the daughter was never allowed to go, and that was because the rules, or the choice that the mother made. So when fast forward when this daughter is older now, she has had this notion in her head that her dad doesn't care about her, dad doesn't love her. But when the truth of the matter was, he fought tooth and nail to be able to see her, to take her with him, when he came and retrieved his son to go spend time together. And even having a conversation with her to let her know, like, hey, that wasn't me, that was your mother. And again, this is not an attack on all moms, because not all moms do this. It's not every single mom doing this thing, right? But in this particular case, he had let his older daughter know, who now is an adult, like, hey, like, no, these were the rules of your mom put into place, and I was following them because you know I had to. In order for me to see any of my kids, I had to follow these rules. And it even got to the point where called the mom up and said, hey, like, these were the rules in which you created. Were they not? And the mom admitted to her daughter that was a case. But the 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 scars had already been formed. They've already been set. And even though the daughter was hearing this, she didn't want to. Uh, it's almost like couldn't accept it. All right, couldn't accept it, that, like, hey, no, you should have done more. You know, and that's always the battle that we as fathers face is, should I have done more? Could I have done more? And if I could have, what would that be? What does that look like? And it's just difficult. It's very difficult as a father, and not it is difficult as a mother as well, but difficult as a father, right? Because as fathers, we want to be providers, we want to be protectors, but then when we can't do that, it's it hurts our souls. It hurts deep inside. I know like people they like to think that men don't have emotions, but though when it comes to our kids, those emotions come real, and it just is raw, and it's like someone's taking a crucial part of you away from you and saying that you can't have it, and you're like, I need that, or I don't know what's gonna happen. So uh anyway, I kind of want to get into some of the stuff that I was reading about, and kind of paint a picture, if you will. So this is uh, this is basically from the census in 2023. It talks about the father's absence crisis in America, and the biggest thing out on here and what it says, and I'll post the links to these so you guys can see these as well, is that it says 17.8 million children, nearly 1 in 4, without a biological step or adoptive father and father at home. 17.8 million children, 1 in 4 families without a father. Take out black, white, Hispanic, Asian. Take all that out. Take out race. Remove that from your head, right? And let's just talk about the fathers, right? Like the families. 1 in 4. 1 in 4. That's 17.8 million. That is a lot of kids without fathers. And I'm one person who has 2 kids, 2 beautiful kids with my wife, and I couldn't imagine, not being a part of my kids' life. Now, it doesn't go into. I'm sure if you read the actual census, it will kind of break down more about why or how these are categories in which these kids are no longer living with their parents, right? Because it could be divorce. Divorce is the main one, and then you have a passing of a family member, or just kind of one of those situations where two consenting adults did what they did and then didn't let the other person know that they had a kid, whatever the case might be, right? But still, 17.8 million children. That the future of any society is always going to be the kids. And if we want to have a successful society, a successful future within our country, we need to be taking care of the kids, and we need to start with the kids, because like I said, they are the future. And as cliche as that sounds, that's the reality of it. But we're not. But it doesn't seem like we're doing that. I am of the belief of the nuclear family, and I know people hear that and they get kind of concerned of when someone says the nuclear family, and I want you to just, again, taking out the politics of it all. I want you to kind of think about what the nuclear family is, right? A 2-parent household with their kids, and the success that the nuclear family has proven to build, to create, speaks for itself. And I know a lot of people think that the nuclear family looks one way. Whatever your beliefs are. Again, I don't want to get too deep into those things, those nooks and crannies of it all, but a lot of people want to get in the weeds of it. But the biggest thing is a 2-family household, a 2-parent household, a mom and a dad, 2-parent household, taking care of their kids and ensuring that their kids have the best opportunities in front of them to succeed. In my household, I am the breadwinner. I go to work every day, and I ensure that I have my kids and my family have food on the table, a place to sleep, and a means to get around. And my wife, who currently works now, but hasn't always and doesn't always have to. Um, her main priority being the nourishment of our kids, and that's how my family economy works. Your family economy might work differently, but being Christians and being believers and being we and how we grew up, we created this environment in our home that was similar to how we grew up. Again, it mentioned I was adopted, right? So being adopted at 2 years old, I grew up. I had a family. I have a mom and I have a dad. They're not my biological parents, but I have a mom and dad. I have brothers and sisters, and my wife. She grew up where herself being adopted as well. She has a mom. She has a dad. She has a brother. She has a sister. She has a big family, right? And so she has seen what the positive side effects of having both parents in your household being present. She has seen the positive ramifications of that just as much as I have as well. And so seeing me and considering myself to be good and okay, I know that I want to recreate that within my own family, within my own household. And the negative side effects of a single parent household are egregious, to say the least. And an example, I'll read from the same article. I'll read some of the negatives of a single parent household. It talks about the children are 4 times greater risk of poverty, more likely to have behavioral problems, 2 times greater risk of infant mortality, more likely to go to prison, more likely to commit crime, 7 times more likely to become pregnant as a teen, more likely to face abuse and neglect, more likely to abuse drugs and alcohol, 2 times more likely to suffer obesity, 2 times more likely to drop out of school. And these are all big things. One of the things I want to kind of go back to and kind of really talk about is more likely to have behavioral problems. You see it a lot. There's always these programs when what is that one? That was on AMC, and they took them to the prison, and they would Scared Straight, right? And most of those kids on that show were coming from a single parent household. There were even episodes where those kids' fathers or mothers were in the prisons in which they were going to, and they would speak directly to them to try to get them scared straight, to say, hey, you need to act right, you need to be respectful. And it's so saddening to see, right? I didn't really appreciate the militaristic style of the show because not every kid. Some kids receive things differently, right? Some kids receive things well by being, scared straight, if you will. And some kids receive things well from simply just having a conversation, and whatever the case might be. But again, not here to talk about the show, but here to talk about that the other side of that. And to see that and to see how these kids, you could see the pain in their eyes and why they were acting the way they were acting. It wasn't out of necessarily a hate, but I'm sure there might be some hate, but it was hate, not hate for of the world, but hate just kind of because they didn't have that figure there to teach them, and you can see the pain in their eyes, the pain in their eyes of just seeing that loved one locked up, especially in those episodes where their loved ones, where they're talking directly to them. You can see the pain in their eyes of just like, I just want you to be present. I want to see you every day. I want to be able to see you every day, but I can't because you're in this situation and I need your attention. And how do I get your attention? I got your attention because now I'm on a show and I get to see you, and I finally get to see you, get your insight, and to feel the emotion behind you, like that just you could see it in their eyes. It's not necessarily joy, but it's this slight joy of happiness because they get to see their dad or they get to see their mom. And kids should never have to get to that point. And these are all things that people know, right? For the most part, people know these things, and it's nothing new on what I'm saying. but I think we need to keep addressing it. We need it to be addressed. It needs to be readdressed, and keep the discussion needs to keep happening in order to change the view, the societal view of what the nuclear family is, and how we can better take care of the kids, the future, right? And that's one of my biggest things, is just continuing the conversation. And I have another study that I was looking at, and I think that that helps here. That I think it would help, and it kind of, again, provides insight. And so this one is, again, from the census, and it talks. There's a couple of things that I want to kind of read over here. It says, in the United States today, nearly 24 million children live in a single-parent household, parent family. This total, which has been rising for half a century, covers 1 in every 3 kids across America. So slightly different statistic from the previous one. Still, nonetheless, a large number of kids living in a single-parent household. You can read it again. I'll provide the link, but one of the things I want to read is about common challenges to single parent families. I want to address these challenges that come with being a single parent, because I want not to scare people into saying, if I become a single parent, this is what's going to happen to me and my kid. No, but to kind of keep it in the back of your mind, especially for my single fathers out there. How you plan appropriately so you can plan to lead to success, right? So you want to be successful as possible. And so me telling you these things is not to scare you, but to help you do your best to plan for a successful life, and to kind of steer your children in the right direction. And so one of the things I want to read over here is more than 20% of children born to married couples will experience a divorce by age 9. 20% of children. You might say 20% is not a lot. I'm not good at math, but I can tell you right now, 20% is a lot of the greater picture of the world, of how many people we have, not in the world, but within this nation. 20% is a lot. That's a large number, and shouldn't be that high, but it is what it is. It's where it's at right now. And more than 50% of kids born to a cohabiting couples will experience a parental breakup, according to some estimates. I'm not here to tell you the best, how to have a successful relationship, because me and my wife are still growing, and it's a challenge. But one of the biggest things is seeing each other and being there for each other, and loving each other. And man, I tell y'all, I love my wife so much, because she's giving me my daughters. Without her, I would not be able to have the 2 beautiful daughters that I have, who love me, who I come home to, and they're like, Dada, and they're super excited to see me, and you can see the happiness and the joy in their eyes when I walk through that door, and I have to figure out all the time, have to readjust, like, how can I make sure that we are on track? Patrick Bet-David, on one of his mini episodes, he said something that really stuck with me. And what he said was he gave his best advice to married couples, especially with kids. And what he said was, that it follows certain rules. Go on a date once a week. Just you and your wife go on a date once a week. And then also he's like, sex once or twice a week. I know people don't want to talk about it, but it's the truth. This is how you made your kids, So, don't stop, right? Because it's a big part of it's one of the big parts of a lot of couples is, that interaction you have with your significant other. So don't stop doing it. Don't do it less. Do it more. Obviously, however that works out with you and your family. But don't do it less. And then communication. Simple things, simple ways of communicating with each other. Daily or weekly, kind of having a coming to the end of the week, and you kind of say, hey, like, what do we get done, and what can we improve on? What what do we do good? What do we do bad? And where can we improve on together to make sure that our relationship is strong and our kids see that we're good, right? Because when your kids see that you and your mom love each other, you and your mom love each other, not your mom, but you and your wife love each other, their mom, but you and your wife love each other, and you're demonstrating that love and that affection you have for each other, your kids will emulate that. They'll want to emulate that because they'll see that my parents love each other so much. Um, I'll give you all a story. My wife might not like that I share this, but I give you an example, right? I like to give examples, real world examples. So uh, I'll walk around the house, and my wife might be doing something, and I might give her a love tap. Mm, all my men, you know what I'm talking about, right? I'll give her a love tap. It has gotten to the point now where my oldest will give my wife a love tap. Now, it's funny because she only does it because she sees me do it all the time. And at times, my wife does get upset with me because she's really focused on something. And, I think that's the best time to do it. But she's really focused in on what she's doing, and give her a love tap, and she gets upset. It gets up. It's a fun upset. It's not like a angry upset. It gets upset. But then now my oldest, she'll do it. And I'll be like, no, you can't do that. Don't do that. But she sees that and sees that it's like, that's a form of affection that me and my wife are able to give each other. Because truthfully, I'll give her a love tap, and then next thing she turns around, wants to give a hug, and we hug and, kiss and say, hey, just miss you, happy to see you, whatever the case might be. But that's a form of affection that we give each other and that my kids see. And I know that they're like, oh, my dad loves my mom without a shadow of doubt, and my mom loves my dad without a shadow of doubt. So it's those small things, those small moments that our kids see, and we like for them to understand, like, okay, this is what their love looks like, and this is what genuine love looks like. And that's just one of the biggest important things for me of why the nuclear family is such a big deal, and why it plays a pivotal role in the development of our kids, because they can see these things, and they're like, oh my goodness, okay, so the parents loving each other and being that way, it's just joy. But to kind of speak to more onto some of this, what they were saying was, transitioning to a single parent household can disrupt a child's routine, education, housing arrangements, and family income. That's important. It can also intensify the incidence of parental conflict and stress. These changes can be very difficult and even traumatic for some children. That's the biggest word right there, traumatic. In society today, mental illness is one of the biggest things. And I've spoken on this before. Mental illness is a huge thing. And mental illness is in today's society is more open to being to addressed, rather than how it used to be, where you were just, if you were a man, you kind of keep it in, and if you were a woman, you speak to your girlfriends about it, and then that's kind of where you aired that out. And then men, unfortunately, just it was what it was. Some men would even share with each other. I would even actually like the plug that use this as a plug moment, right? If you're a man and you're going through some things, you're not alone. And what I mean by that is, if you have a group of friends, reach out to those men, talk to those men, explain to those men what you have going on, be honest and open with them, and share with them what you have going on. Because as men, if we share these things, I know people like some people like to get this idea that men shouldn't share, but like generally as men, if we share these things, it's almost like a burden's off our shoulders, because we have other men in our lives who are willing to listen and help us and say, hey, I've been through where you're going through. I've been where you are. And it could lead down a worse path. So if you're a man, get a group of men. If you're involved in your church, even if not involved in your church, get involved in the church, and really get into a men's group, to be around other men, to really just hear the knowledge and the experience that other men can provide and help you with, especially if you're going through something. But these kids grow up, and they want nothing but the best for they want the best possible future, and because they don't want to end up like their parents. But more than likely, what ends up happening is they end up like their parents divorced or unhappy is because the connection, the lesson was cut off, and now they don't know there's things they don't know that they had to learn the hard way. Versus if they're both parents were available and present there to create that build that connection, that would more than unlikely happen. Because I read some of the things that could happen within single parent households, right? Counter that with what could happen with kids who live in a two parent household. Those things are less likely to happen, and we don't want. I had a brain for a moment. We don't want those things to happen to any of these kids. Man, I know I keep saying that, but like I mean it so passionately because kids are such a, I remember what it was like to be the kid who, when I was adopted in the beginning years in kind of getting the understanding that these were my parents, it was scary. It was intimidating. And it was hard for me to even, rationalize that these were my parents. But like, I wanted my mom, the woman that gave birth to me. I wanted my dad, the dad who helped make me, but they weren't there. And that does something to the psyche that, if not worked out, or, at least having someone to talk to, work it through, it's very hard. I was fortunate enough that I have a twin brother, that me and him, when we were kids, we didn't really talk about it, but as we've gotten older, we've discussed some of these things, and it's helped because it's expressing some of these pent up emotions that I've had and that he's had to kind of express our what it was like growing up together, even though because we didn't talk about our emotions like that, and then even hearing some of the things that what's important to him now that he's a father as well. And then what was important to me now that I'm a father and how we want to change that. We don't want our kids to go through what we went through. Not to say we didn't receive a blessing, but we don't want our kids to have to go through that scenario ever. I want them to be in loving relationships in their future. And so that, again, not to scare you, but to just kind of emphasize to you, right, that these things, we don't want these things to happen. No parent should want these things to happen. And if they do happen, how are you going to make sure that you're in your child's life as much as possible? I know several service members who've gotten out of the Army for one or two reasons, but they've gone out and they live here, or they live in wherever they live. And they live by their ex to ensure that they can see their kids every day. And that commitment, that to me is phenomenal, because that to me, it shows that, hey, you may not be able to wake up with them and go to bed with them, but you're going to be there as much as possible. And that means you got to live down the street, that you're going to live down the street. And so I love that, because these men are great fathers. Gabe, for Comfort in Chaos, he's one of those dads who he doesn't get to see his son every day, but when he sees his son, he is 100% committed, and he's out there, teaching him things, showing him things, talking on the phone with him, always there, being present with his son, because he knows his son looks up to him and sees his dad, who this awesome fit guy, and he's like a beast of a guy, and he's just like, I want to be just like my dad. And Gabe makes sure he kind of shows him how to do that. But I want to continue with some of the things that the census was talking about. Let's see. Oh, so the biggest one being the potential emotional behavior impact on children. While most children in single-parent households grow up to be adjusted adults, kids from single-parent families are more likely to face emotional behavioral health challenges like aggression or engaging in high-risk behavior, which, when compared to peers raised by married parents, Research has linked these challenges with factors associated with single parent families, such as parental stress, parental breakups, witnessing conflict, loss, social networks, moving homes, and socioeconomic hurdles. Children of single mothers may face additional challenges. For instance, depression, which can negatively impact parenting, is common among recently divorced mothers. Solo moms often lack adequate social support as well. So again, these things, these every action we do has a consequence, negative or positive. And so, if in your family you go through it, you experience a divorce, you experience a breakup, right? This impacts not only you, but it impacts your kids if you have kids in there. And this is just to kind of speak to all my single parents out there. Like, I know that that wasn't originally part of your plan. You didn't plan to be a single parent. And, while you didn't plan to be a single parent, if you're still a single parent, you're a single parent right now, your focus, everything you have needs to be your kids. And you need to you do everything in your power to help them, develop them and grow, and to minimize as much as this as possible, right? Because as a parent, you're going to experience stress, and you don't want to put that on your kids as well. And so, I wish and I pray that everybody that I don't want people to get divorced. I don't want people to separate. I don't want people to be I want people to be happy with the one that they chose. They said, hey, they made a commitment to that person. We don't live in a perfect world, and I understand that. But if that's you, then do everything you can. Do everything within your power to include that your ex, so that your children can see, like, hey, we may not be together, but this is your dad, this is your mom, and they have something to provide. They can provide for you, right? Moms, knowing that those kids' dads can provide something that you can't. Dads, knowing that there's something that those kids' mothers can provide, that's something that you can't. And you guys may not be together every day to show that to them, but you can still individually give them the bits and pieces to help them grow. And then, especially speaking to the mental health crisis, right? You want to do your best to teach kids how to manage their emotions. I know as some of us adults don't know how to manage our emotions, and so we're trying to teach our kids how to manage the emotions that we haven't even tried to figure out how to manage, right? So I seek help if you need it, but learn how to manage your emotions. Knowing how to control your emotions, and teaching your kids how to control their emotions in a way that says, hey, like, if you're angry, like, let's talk about why we're angry. Let's figure out what the root cause of what being angry is, and how we handle that, right? Not taking it out on other people or other things, right? Especially sons who grow up in single parent households, right? Most of the time, they end up aggressive, angry, because they didn't have that fatherly figure in their life to teach them and show them, hey, how to manage, how to control that, how to say, hey, sit back and watch, pay attention first, listen. You can control how you feel, or vice versa. A mom didn't have a mom in their life, and to teach them what love looks like. What does genuine love look like? What does it feel like to be loved? And so, always questioning and feeling afraid of, like, does this female really love me? Does she like me, or does she like me, the things that I give, or whatever the case might be? Mistrust, right? These are side effects of growing up in a single parent household. Again, this is not to just dump on single parents, right? This is not to dump on single parents, but to paint a picture and to hopefully say that, hey, if you're in a relationship, or you're married, whatever the case might be, and if there's any hope or any way that you guys can rekindle that relationship, that fire, remember why you fell in love with each other and why you wanted to create kids with each other in the first place. I pray and I hope that you're able to do that, because it's phenomenal, one, to love someone and just know that they're not perfect and you're not perfect, but you guys still love each other nonetheless, as well as to see them grow and to see your kids grow into these wonderful and beautiful adults and beings. But I won't chat your ear off anymore. That's all I have. Again, I'm Q with Mediocre Dads. Please like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Hit the little like button and share button if you're on Rumble. If you're on Spotify, like and share. Please share my stuff. I really appreciate those guys out there who share my stuff. And then I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I'm starting to get on Twitter, or X, but I'm still learning all that. I know I sound old. But before I go, I do want to leave you with this one thing. It's from number 6, 24 to 26. May the Lord bless you and protect you. May the Lord smile on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord show you his favor and give you his peace. Over this last year, well, truly over this last year, I made a huge change in my life, and that was I wanted to be. The changes were physically, mentally, and spiritually. So physically, I'm great. I love how much I've improved physically and how my body feels, and I think every man should take the time to every day, whether it's just 20 minutes, to do some form of workout, just to get your body in the right in shape. To get your body in shape, truthfully, to be in shape, right? I'm not saying I'm in perfect shape, like I'm not a guy rolling around with a six pack, but I can physically. I'm capable of a lot of things. That's just physically. Mentally, by working out, going to the gym, mentally, there's a clarity that I've gotten. I feel good. I'm able to rationalize and think logically, and apply logic to a lot of things by just doing these, by working out. And then the biggest thing for me is spiritually. Over the last year, I've gotten back into my faith because for so long, I got out of it because I couldn't rationalize or believe that there was a God, and there was a God that cared about me. Because again, speaking to that love factor, I didn't understand what real love and what genuine love looked like. And it took being married to my wife, seeing having my kids be born, and I now can articulate what that love is and how the Father has so much love for us. And so spiritually, I've grown so much, and I know you guys have heard me say before about what my future may look like, whether that's involved in the church. It's going to involved in church somehow, some way, but spiritually, I've grown, and I just having that love for the Lord and wearing his suit of armor on you every day and going out to the world to share that is just it's a great feeling, that knowing that the Holy Spirit's in your heart, and I read my Bible every day. I read the Word every day. I pray every day, and my life has changed drastically. Right, really knowing and understanding that why Jesus Christ died on the cross for our sins, and knowing that even though he died on the cross for our sins, he died on the sins that we committed in the past and the sins that we're going to commit, and knowing that I'm never going to be perfect, but knowing that he's always has my back is just a wonderful feeling, and not feeling alone. And so to my men out there, to my fathers out there, like, seriously, physically, mentally, and spiritually, get involved, right? Change your life for the better, because I can tell you right now, personal experience, that there has been a huge change in me, and I see it, I feel it, I'm happier, and I want to share that happiness with my kids, and I show that to them, and I also want to share that with you all, meaning, like, I want to see you guys have feel that joy in your life and that happiness in your life, that making those changes in your life, when it happens, you really feel it and see it, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. But nonetheless, again, I'm not going to bore you with too many stuff. I'm not going to chat your ear off anymore. Again, I'm Q. Thank you for joining me. Again, we're trying for every week. Not going to be perfect at it, but we're going to try for every week. I'm Q. Mediocre Dads out.